Welcome into Locked On 76ers. Keith Pompey, Marc Farzetta. Oh, we got some updates with Grimes watch as Grimes could be getting himself some competition. Sixers looking elsewhere. We'll talk about that. And I am way too excited, Keith, for the Sixers to hold workouts in the offseason. They're basketball players playing basketball, but you can also call this putting in the extra work. We'll talk about that and more in this edition of Locked On 76ers.
You are Locked On 76ers, your daily Philadelphia 76ers podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And we do thank you for making Locked On 76ers your first listen every day, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Keith Pompey, Marc Farzetta. This particular episode is brought to you by FanDuel, and today is FanDuel Futures Day, so take advantage. Football season around the corner. Visit the FanDuel app today and start planning your futures bets now. Keith, you sent out the video yesterday of the Sixers working out, I believe, in Los Angeles.
Mm-hmm.
I saw Justin Edwards, and I really couldn't recognize many other people in the video, unfortunately. Who's all out in Los Angeles, and how'd you come across the tape?
Well, I mean, from what I was told, the guys who are out there, like, Maxey is out there. The guys are going and coming, whatever. But the three guys that I noticed in the video, or I was told was in there too as well, the guy who sent me the video, were Justin Edwards, VJ Edgecombe, and Jabari Walker. And so apparently what's happening is you have some of the more veteran guys will get up in the morning and they'll work out and they'll, do individual stuff or whatever. But then some of the younger guys will come back later on and then they'll do open runs, just do workouts. So if you notice, if you look at the videos, you see certain guys with, different team logos on or warm-ups or practice gear. And there's a couple guys with the Blazers in there. There's a couple guys, with the Sixers or three that we saw, and guys from other teams. So that's what it is. They're going out there. They're getting open runs. It wasn't beautiful though. I mean, I'm gonna be honest with you. Like it was straight. Looked like at the YMCA type of stuff. But again, when you look at it, you can understand it a little bit just because guys are just out there getting up shots and going back and forth. Not a lot of defense being played. It's just, it's more to me of a workout and a little bit of more bonding for a guy like VJ Edgecombe and Jabari Walker and Justin Edwards. But yeah, it was bad. It wasn't really that exciting to watch.
I played my fair share. I'm sure we both have of pickup basketball, and I've certainly played my fair share of YMCA basketball. And I'm so glad you said that because that's exactly what I thought of. I felt like I was having flashbacks and I was about to check into this pickup game. But how did it come together, and how long is this going to go on?
It's been going on for a while. Like, the guy Rico Hines, and typically he does it at UCLA, but the summer is called the Rico Hines Open Runs. So he basically organizes stuff, and it's weird, like not weird, but it's funny. He's an NBA assistant coach for the Sixers, but he's been doing it long before that, where teams will send guys to him and they'll have these open runs. Like, there's certain times where in the past, and even probably this year, you'll have the Sixers playing against the Toronto Raptors. Now, it's not like a summer league type thing, but it's like a way for these guys to get their bonding together. And, I remember it was a couple of weeks ago that, there was a lot of guys from Philadelphia out there, getting the runs in. So, yeah, it's like typically, I guess, post-summer league, before guys report to camp, a lot of guys will go in L.A. and they'll just get it out and, get some runs in. Now, the thing about L.A. in the summertime is Los Angeles and Atlanta are kind of like the unofficial off-season homes for a lot of these players. They go to L.A. because the weather's great. They go out there and they train, they work out. There's a bunch of them. So it makes a lot of, sense for them to be there. And then, you got Rico. Rico is a renowned player development coach. and he has a reputation. A lot of guys like going there. Now, he played at UCLA. He was living out there for a while, so it makes a lot of sense. But yeah, this is something that has been going on for years, and it's kind of like, post summer league, heading up until guys, go and come to their team for, the preseason workouts and stuff.
I know some people roll their eyes at the offseason workout stuff and the stuff that they see on social media. It's something like I know with Ben Simmons, we used to joke about it all the time. Like if you're working out, but it's not on social media, then you didn't work out, that whole thing. But I will say this offseason in particular, I'll use the word, I'll admit to it as well. Keith, honestly, I'm desperate from a fan perspective. Like, I'm desperate for positivity when it comes to the 76ers, because the unfortunate reality is not a very good one for the Sixers in the very near future here. So just to see young guys, like even a guy like Justin Edwards, fought for the contract he's got now, had his struggles in summer league, just to see a guy like that putting the work in. And then to know that a guy that you're really investing in to become even more of a leader on this team in Tyrese Maxey is helping all this come together. Now, he might not be the guy calling people and putting a schedule together or anything like that. But if he's out there, then a guy like Justin Edwards or a guy like VJ Edgecombe is certainly more inclined to go, all right, if Maxey's out there, I should definitely be out there and get my work in with him. So as you said, you could build up the bonding, and you also build up team chemistry, especially if you're brand new to the fray like VJ Edgecombe. The other thing that goes into this is if you're talking about Maxey being more of a leader, and you're talking about kind of turning the page, maybe over more so to or passing the baton more so to Tyrese Maxey, whether you're doing that willingly or forced to by injuries throughout the year, then those startup costs that you have with a team building that bond and that chemistry throughout a season only gets easier the more you play with one another. So the idea of Maxey going out there, and he's already been out there to work out with LeBron, and we talked about that a couple of weeks ago, to now get that work in with the new teammates, I think that speaks volumes for the leader, not only that he is right now, but also the leader he wants to be.
Yeah, but you know what? It's kind of, I'm not going to give Maxey all the credit for this one.
Right.
And the only reason why, because it's kind of sort of like, now I'll give him the credit for continuing it, but it's also one of those things where it's kind of like, I want to say, you're a freshman at Archbishop Wood, and then guys say, hey, look, on Friday nights, we go to high school football games, and then afterwards we go to Dairy Queen and relax and hang out. Well, that's what they do. Like, that's what NBA players do. I mean, we'll talk about, and I'm talking about the Rico Hines run. Like, Paul George, like, it's kind of like a thing to show up at UCLA's practice gym or the old practice gym that they have with your Sixers paraphernalia on. Like, you see Paul George last year was out there getting it in, getting open runs with that. Before that, you saw James Harden with his Sixer stuff. And I don't know if you remember, there was a video a couple years ago where James Harden just stopped the workout and said, look, you guys got to be here. You got to get this work in. This is where you get paid. And then there was also another one of Draymond Green doing the same thing. So when Maxey, I get it, he's continuing it, but, it's one of those things where it's kind of like a rite of passage to go out there and be in these open runs and do it. And guys like Justin Edwards, like, I hate to say it, they don't have a choice. Like, if you're Joel Embiid or someone like that, okay, you might want to take it off, but you have a choice. But here's the one thing I will commend Maxey for, because the guy I was talking to yesterday was telling me, he's like, Keith, man, Maxey is out here working out, and he's working hard. He's like, he's working with the I forget the guy's last name, Chris something, but if we didn't bring him up, I would have it on the tip of my tongue. Chris Johnson. His name is Chris Johnson. He's like, he's working out with Chris Johnson, and he's also working out with his shooting coach. So, like, Maxey is putting in work, dude. And a lot of people are recognizing it and noticing it. And it's funny because the guy who I talked to, like, now here's something else you need to know. So when Maxey was a rookie, and they would have these open runs. Now Maxey was doing it like he was grandfather then, and Maxey would show up. And the guy always said to me, Anthony Edwards is the truth. He's the number one pick. He's that guy. Even pre-draft, he said, but I'm telling you, Tyrese Maxey is going to be a good player. And at that particular time, it was like, well, okay. Now, this was even before Maxey was drafted, right? And then after they drafted, he said, yo, I think the Sixers got a good one. He kept saying it. He kept saying it. He kept saying it. And now you look at it years later, he's an all-star, and he's still out there, and he's working harder than what he had. So I'm not taking anything away from him. I'm saying he's good, but he was also grandfathered into this. It's like, this is what you want to do. If you're an NBA player, you want to be out there competing with other ones, with other great guys in the offseason.
Keith, you're getting me excited, brother. You're getting me excited for the Tyrese Maxey era in Philadelphia. like I said, desperate for positivity, my friend. Desperate for positivity when it comes to the Sixers team. One last thing on these workouts here. Do you know of anyone else that's going to be headed out there because this is going to continue? Do you know if anybody else is going to be headed out to meet up with the Sixers? Someone of note.
I don't know. I think like most of the guys, for the most part, like they come and go. You know what I mean? Like, I'm gonna go out there and do it. I don't know offhand who's going to be there. I heard that a lot of them, not a lot, but several of them were out there. I'm pretty sure that I don't know if PG is going to be there just because of, or if he's there, or if he's going to be in these open runs just because of his knee situation.
Sure.
But from what I hear is a lot of teams, they just send players out there. A lot of guys just show up. It's just what it is.
Yeah, I wouldn't expect PG to be playing or anything, but do guys show up when they're hurt just to be around the group?
Some of them do. I mean, and like for PG, I don't think it would be out of the norm,
right?
For him to show up because PG grew up in the LA area. PG has a home in the LA area, his family, and the whole nine. So yeah, it wouldn't be out of the norm for him to show up and to be there. Not at all. And maybe a guy like Embiid, maybe because he lives in the Philadelphia area, he has a crib in New York. Now he does go to LA. He has in the past to work out in the summertime, right? But you just don't know what his situation is now. But all those guys, like Jared McCain last summer, what he did is he spent half his time, or he broke it down like he was either he was in Duke and Durham, or he was in Philly or New Jersey, Camden, or he was in LA. So it was kind of like a circle for him. So, yeah, a lot of these guys, I'm telling you, a lot of NBA players, if they don't spend their off seasons in Atlanta, they tend to spend their off seasons in Southern California.
Racking up the miles.
Racking up the miles. And here's the thing. LA is where you want to be because it's La La Land, right? You see you see the I guess the pretty women, you see the Ferraris, all this types of stuff, the palm trees, all that, right? It's like LA. But then Atlanta is where you go and you get more bang for your buck. That's where you could go and you can get, $1 million house for maybe 600,000 or something like that, or you can do a lot of other things. So it's weird. Like, it's crazy. Like, a lot of guys who live in LA who played for the Hawks, even Elton Brand, he played for the Hawks. Well, he still owns a crib down there, and a lot of them, the guys that come back and they just, man, Keith, man, Atlanta's beautiful. I love Atlanta. Now, again, they don't live in the city limits, but they live, in the surrounding areas, and that's all they talk about. So those are the two most popular places for NBA players.
Gotcha. Keith, I think you struck a nerve for some people yesterday in a positive way, and this could be something that bleeds into Grimes' watch. Malik Beasley, you brought that name up yesterday as a could be, maybe, might be. Yeah. I noticed it got picked up on some other outlets as well. We'll talk about that when we return. This is Locked On 76ers on the Locked On 76ers YouTube channel. Make sure you guys like and subscribe. Back after this. And right now, let me tell you about Open Phone. If you're running a business, you know that every missed call is money left on the table. Think about the last time you had an urgent need, maybe a pipe burst in the basement, maybe some other service? Did you just sit there, make one phone call, and then wait by the phone? No, you kept calling. Imagine being that business that missed your call. You missed the opportunity. You missed out on that money. You got to move on to Open Phone. Open Phone is the #1 business phone system built to streamline and scale your customer communications, all from an app on your phone or computer. Open Phone lets me manage business calls and texts on a single app. The shared inbox feature is a game changer. Your team can jump into any conversation instantly without missing a beat. And their AI agent handles your after-hours calls, answers common questions, and captures leads so you never miss a customer. And right now, Open Phone is offering our listeners and our viewers 20% off our first 6 months. That's 20% off your first 6 months with Open Phone at openphone.com/LockedOnNBA. That's OPENPHONE.com/LockedOnNBA. And if you have existing numbers on another service, Open Phone will port them over at no extra charge. Open Phone. No missed calls, no missed customers. And I also have to tell you guys about a listener survey we have going on here at Locked On. We have an important request. Locked On wants to hear from you, our listeners and viewers. We put together a survey to learn more about our listeners and our audience to make your favorite podcast even better. This is your chance to tell us what you like, what you don't like, and answer questions about our advertising as well. Go to lockedonpodcast.com/survey to get started. Everyone who completes a survey will be entered for a chance to win one of 10 $100 Amazon gift cards. Again, that's lockedonpodcast.com/survey. You can also find the link in the show notes. Thanks for helping us out at Locked On, especially Locked On 76ers. Keith Pompey. I won't say it's stirring the pot by any means, but it's food for thought. And yesterday, with the news recently coming out about Malik Beasley, he'll be playing in the NBA this upcoming season. Would you, if you're the 76ers, you asked me this question, I said I'd do it. Would you start looking more in the direction of Malik Beasley than Quentin Grimes? And then I saw a couple other publications pick up that idea as well. Keith Pompey, I continue to applaud your brilliance.
You know, that's a crazy one, not crazy one, but it makes you think, right?
Absolutely.
And the thing about it is when you look at it, you say to yourself, okay, you know, Malik Beasley, we talked about the 3-point shooting, and he's done it with 2 different teams the last 2 years. He's one of the league's best 3-point shooters. He was the runner-up for 6th man of the year last year. So he's a guy that you basically, you know, will going to strongly consider. But the thing is, for me, if I'm the 76ers, I think that the fact that Malik Beasley is out there, I'm looking at it more so to help with my negotiations with Quentin Grimes, right? Like, I still want Grimes, right, if I'm the Sixers. But I'm looking at this to help with my negotiations to maybe try to bring it down, right? Bring the price down a little bit. Because, you know, in a perfect world, I'm greedy. I would want both of them, right? But, you know, when we look at the 76ers roster, it's kind of like, you know, they're probably going to convert one of the power forwards, one of the guys on the 2-way. But then you look, the only guy who has a non-guaranteed contract on the team where they could waive to create a roster spot is a Dembona. $1.9 million that doesn't become guaranteed until October the 19th, right? Wow. So my thing is, why are you going to get rid of a Dembona, a guy that you may need to be, you know, as a backup center for a guy, and you're going to, you know, I don't know. It just doesn't make a lot of sense to me. Now, again, I get it. Malik Beasley is really someone who you feel like you're going to need. However, the Cleveland Cavaliers and the New York Knicks appear to also be teams who want him. So now are you going to get into a bidding war with this guy? That's the only thing. Now, outside of that, I really like him. But the fact that you really, you know, you're going to have to create a spot for him, right? And then secondly, and the reason I'm saying create a spot, because I do believe that they intend to convert one of these guys to one of these two-way guys to a full-fledged contract. But then at the same time, it's like, how much money are you willing to spend for Malik Beasley when you're not willing to spend a lot for Quentin Grimes for what he wants? Because you have to believe that Beasley is going to want more than what you're giving Quentin.
So you talk about saving money. Are you talking about if there's a long-term deal signed, or are you talking about less than the 8.7 they could give Quentin Grimes?
Well, I mean, that's the 8.7 that they can give Quentin. That's kind of sort of like,
bottom of the barrel.
Yeah. Well, not really bottom of the barrel, but it's something that they picked up his option, so to speak. Not,
right.
You know what I mean? So,
yeah.
Like, I just feel like now maybe you could get Malik on the minimum. Maybe Malik only made like $6 million last year, right?
Yeah.
So you could possibly do that. But I do feel like if you got the Knicks and it comes down to Cleveland, to me, all that's going to do is come down to who's going to give him the most money in his eyes, right? You know what I mean? Or like, granted, I know he wants to be in the league, but right now I think the Knicks really want, from what I'm hearing and what I'm reading, looking at it right now, is like the Knicks really want him. You know what I mean? The Knicks are extremely interested in him. So what does it come down to? Does it come down to the Knicks or the Sixers? Like, how much money are the Sixers willing to give him? Now, for me, if I'm the Sixers, though, however, the fact that even if I don't want this guy, the fact that word is out there, it may make Quentin Grimes and them to agree to something,
right,
to take less money. Like, let's say he wants 25. Maybe he may agree to take 17.
Right.
You know what I mean? Per year, for fear that Malik Beasley is going to get what he wants or takes that spot.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. I think it even helps more so in the – I mean, I just don't see Quentin Grimes. I know he's asking for the 25. You mentioned 17. I think it could even help get it down to maybe even 13 if he's talking about a $16 million deal, over like $16 million a year over 3 or 4 years. So, yeah, it absolutely helps in the negotiating. Once somebody else is available of the same position, similar skill set, then he could absolutely look at it and be like, well, we could just go this other direction if we really wanted to. So that obviously helps. The thing that I'm a little stuck on, though, is how would they – I mean, where's the possibility of signing both? I know you said you want to be greedy, and I love greed. I mean, that's a lot of guards, though, if you sign both.
Yeah, that's a lot. It's a lot of guards.
How would you sign that? How would you work that out?
I mean, you would have to waive somebody, I think. That's the problem. Like, you would actually have to waive somebody because, I mean, and that's the only thing. And then you got to say to Malik, what are you willing to take? Are you willing to take a 1 year because of your situation? Are you probably willing to take a 1 year veteran minimum and then hope and pray that you have a big enough season for you to go elsewhere? All I know is, like, Malik Beasley comes with a lot of baggage. I mean, here's the thing. There was in addition to this report of that they thought he was gambling and on games, that it come out that he was innocent. They're talking about he didn't pay his rent. You know what I mean? Like, so he has some off the court things. Then also, we know about the situation with him and his wife, where they got into it. Like, there was a fight with him with a football player or some stuff. So he has a lot of stuff he has to prepare. He has to elevate public perception of him, right?
He's got to work through some stuff.
Yeah, you got to work through some stuff. So you can say, look, bro, take this 1 year minimum and you can work out. Now, you do have a lot of guards. I will say that. I do agree with that. But when I look at him, who would you rather have? I mean, like, would you rather have him starting or coming off the bench as the sixth man? Or, and then you can take time to develop VJ Edgecombe. Like, I'm just saying, if you're trying to go in to win, if you look at Malik Beasley, does he help you? Does he make the 76ers better with his, with his shooting ability, with his tenacity? I say, yeah, he makes them better. He absolutely does. It's just a matter of what he wants to do. And I hate to say this, like, we talk about, VJ and we talk about all these other guys, but I kind of think that, Malik will be at the front of the list of guys who's, having a more of a prominent role at this stage of his career. Not to say that it's not going to change at a later stage, but for this upcoming season, he fulfills an immediate need. Now, you don't need him or Quentin Grimes, but what I'm just saying is, if it's Malik, are you fully invested in him for 4 years, or do you look at him as a quick fix, whereas you have some investment in Quentin Grimes? You know what I mean? Like, you've been negotiating with this guy for months. This might be somebody that you may feel more comfortable with in the long haul just because he doesn't have the same off-the-court track record.
Right. I got you. All right. When we come back, there's one more name that's being floated out there, and we are going to tie it in with the Grimes watch even more specifically as another name that could be threatening to come to the 76ers. It's been linked to the Sixers. We'll talk about that in a second. This is Locked On 76ers on the Locked On Sixers YouTube channel. Right now, let me tell you about FanDuel. Today, August 26th, this Tuesday. Yeah, today, Tuesday, August 26th. You know what today is? It's a new holiday with FanDuel. It is officially FanDuel Futures Day, a brand new holiday for football fans who live for bold predictions and preseason hunches. For just 24 hours today, so we're already in the midst of it, FanDuel is giving you deals on NFL season predictions. So whether you're calling your MVP, eyeing a long shot division winner, or ready to crown your Super Bowl champion before week 1 even kicks off, this is your moment. Maybe like Jalen Hurts is the MVP this year. Maybe like Saquon Barkley is the MVP this year. Maybe like the Eagles is winning the Super Bowl again. FanDuel has you covered when it comes to your futures bets today on FanDuel Futures Day, today. Visit FanDuel app. That's right. Visit the FanDuel app today and start planning your futures bets now, because FanDuel Futures Day is one day and one day only, and that day is today. FanDuel, play your game. So let me just start it off with this, Keith. Quentin Grimes been signed yet?
Nah.
Right.
But you know what's funny?
What's that?
Look at this. Look at what I found. You see this? This is great, man. You know what I mean? I remember this. You remember this? This was like the dream team. Like, this was like when we all thought, like, yo, they're all going to come back. They're going to be here for a while, and they're going to have a dominant team. Yeah.
I found that recently. I think it was actually at my parents' house. And I was looking at it, and the thought I had was they're all looking at you on the cover that you just showed it, Yeah. They're all looking at you. And now when I look at it, I feel like they're looking at me like, man, you're going to be really disappointed. That's the thought I have now. Yeah. You're going to think this is going to go really well, but it's not going to go really well, unfortunately. Yeah, but yeah, that was the best version of the Sixers I've seen. Yeah. That's the best version of the Sixers I've seen since Allen Iverson took him to the finals and all that. But a lot of hope for that. He just held for the people listening on the podcast. Keith just held up the Sports Illustrated cover of the Jimmy Butler Sixers with JJ Redick and Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid and a short-haired, headbanded Tobias Harris, and we were all feeling good about life at that moment. And then it came crumbling down. So Grimes is not signed. There's another name that you mentioned to me before the show that has potential in terms of a trade with the 76ers. I don't know how they pulled off. Was it Anfernee Simons? Is that who you were mentioning?
Yeah, Anfernee Simons. Now, here's the deal. So, Anfernee Simons is set to make $27.6 million this year, but then he becomes an unrestricted free agent the following season. Now, they're saying that his cap hit for the following season is going to be around $41.5 million. So we're talking about a Boston Celtics team who, is trying to get rid of money, right? So you look at him and you say to yourself that, okay, so they got him basically knowing he's going to come off the books, right? And you'll probably end up somewhere else the following season. My question is, if you're the 76ers, what do you have to get him? Now, so Tyrese Maxey is going to make $37.9 million this upcoming season. If I am the Boston Celtics, The only person that I really want in exchange for him is Tyrese Maxey. And the reason being is if you look at Tyrese Maxey, initially he used to struggle against the Celtics. But then it got to a point where now he goes out there and he puts on a show against the Celtics, right? So, so that's that kind of intrigue where you look at him, he could be another one of those combo guards that they have. But realistically, if you're the Sixers, are you trying to make a trade for Anfernee Simons and where you would possibly have to give up Tyrese Maxey for a dude who could basically bounce at the end of the year? You know what I mean? Like, I need a lot of guarantees for that. And if you're the 76ers, of course you don't want to give up Tyrese Maxey because you're looking at these two guys as, he could be another guard. It could be another backcourt that you have, right? Young one. But I don't see anybody else on the roster. Like, Paul George makes a chunk much more money. But if you're Boston, you don't want Paul George. You know what I mean? Like, so who else can you just throw together in a scrap heap to get this guy? So I just don't see it happening. I don't. And the thing is, you can call and you can inquire about it, which I think happened. It's one of those things where, like the Sixers are known for calling and asking everybody, hey, what about this person? What about that person? Right. Hey, I'll give you this. Or if you want this guy, you got to give me an arm and a leg for him. But I just don't see it right now because I think the only person you would give up is Tyrese Maxey, who you have under contract, and you have to throw somebody else in there for a couple of years for someone who could walk at the end of the season. I don't think that makes sense.
No, it doesn't. You're absolutely right. I feel like that would just continue a long line of irresponsible moves made by the front office, unfortunately. But it would be, it would be a talented player, obviously, but no, it's just not happening with the 76ers. Keith, we'll continue to follow this bouncing ball that is the 76ers tomorrow on Locked On 76ers. Make sure you guys are reading Keith Pompey on Inquirer.com. Make sure you're following on social media as well. Maybe we'll get a couple more videos of workouts going on in Los Angeles. Maybe even get Tyrese Maxey in one of those videos. Look forward to it. Keith Pompey, Marc Farzetta, thank you guys very, very much for watching. Make sure you guys like and subscribe to Locked On 76ers. Back with you guys tomorrow. Have a great rest of your day. See you then.